Hello, Captains. Your host, the Doctor / Borg Drone, here in Star Trek Online. This is my Romulan playthrough on a Reman character aligned with the KDF, a very unique playthrough. So, in the last video, we made a starship. Well, we didn't make a starship, but I transferred over to a new starship. It was the Faeht Intel Warbird Tier 6. In fact, that's what I'm rocking right now, the Faeht Intel Warbird Tier 6. That's the ship we put on, or I put on this character in the last video. Made a whole video about it. It was very long. Now, I have to say, in the past 3 days, it's been about 3 days since I recorded that video. In those past 3 days, I have learned a lot more and corrected myself on some mistakes that I talked about in that video. And I've been grinding this starship to unlock all the masteries, get my bridge officer powers worked out, and my traits worked out, and even several more specialization points added. So I've made a lot of progress in the past 3 days grinding on this starship compared to the last video. There's a lot of changes since the last video on this ship. And like I said, I am going to correct some of the things I said because I wasn't quite clear on them in that video, but I'm a little more clear on some of those things now. So I am at, first of all, the KDF Shipyard. The reason why I'm here is to show you, under Manage Ships, where all my ships are, there is a new ship I have added. Check this out. I went ahead and have now have the Fleet Faeht Intel Warbird Tier 6. So I did get the Fleet version. It takes like 20,000 or so fleet marks, or fleet, credit, and then it takes a ship module. It takes one ship module, and then another little thing you have to have, which I have plenty of. So I was able to grind for all those things, and I was able to get to this ship. And the reason why I got a ship module was really quite easy. In my reputation now, I have Tier 6 Task Force Omega. So when you hit Tier 6 in any reputation, you get a free fleet ship module. And so I utilized that. I got a free one. I didn't have to spend any resources to do it. Because I'm Tier 6 in Task Force Omega, I had that. And so therefore, now I have my new Fleet Faeht Intel Warbird. But I do not have it equipped yet, okay? It's not on my character yet. I mean, it's here in my list of ships that I have, but I'm not flying it yet. You will see that it lacks a starship trait, the 5th starship trait, that special starship trait that comes with only C-Store ships. Well, I have that on the C-Store version of the Faeht, and that's what I was waiting for. What I'm going to be able to do, you see, is switch over to the Fleet version and still gain all of the mastery unlocks on this ship, plus the starship trait now that I have it unlocked. Also, I'm going to gain an engineering console, because this ship adds one extra engineering console, and I will gain hull strength and shield strength with the Fleet version. But I'm not using it yet. I want to play a couple of Delta Quadrant missions before I switch over to the Fleet version of this ship. And the reason why is I want to make the C-Store version that I bought, or Z-Store version, useful. I don't want it, I spent money to buy that ship, dilithium, and not dilithium, Zen, to buy that ship, and I want to get the most out of it. I want to utilize it on screen. I've never flown it before. It's the first time I've ever used that ship, so I want to get the most from it before I just flat out switch it out to the Fleet version. So I'm going to play a few missions on it first. Okay, but I'm going to show you today what all that build is. So today's video is just an update video. It's basically all the new things and changes I've made to my ship, so that moving forward in the next video, when we start the first mission of the Delta Quadrant, you know what I'm running. That's basically it. So yeah, I've got the Fleet version, but not equipped yet. So what I do have right now is this, the Faeht Intel Warbird Tier 6. Now you'll notice all of my Starship Masteries are now unlocked. That was one of the things I was grinding for. The first one is +5 accuracy rating. The second one is reduces the cooldown time on Singularity power. The third one is a +10% kinetic and energy damage, increased weapon damage that it does. The Tier 4 ability is +2.5% critical chance. And then the Starship Mastery is called Tactical Retreat. When I get my hull strength down to like 25%, I gain a +60 defense rating, and I also gain a +300% flight speed strength, and resets all my threats to 0. And that happens when I hit 25% hull strength. That automatically kicks in. It's called Tactical Retreat. So I have that trait now unlocked because of this ship, the Z-Store or C-Store ship. So that means when I go and put the fleet version of this ship on, I can add this starship trait now to it. So even though the fleet ship doesn't come with the 5th trait, because I've unlocked it on the C-Store version, I can enable it on the fleet version. So it's like having the best of both worlds. I'm going to have all the benefits of the C-Store ship on with the benefits of the fleet ship when I put the fleet ship on. And again, I'm going to gain an extra engineering console, hull strength, and shield strength when I do that. But for right now, I needed to get the starship trait unlocked on this ship so that I can use it on the fleet ship when I put that on. Pretty simple. But that's one of the things I did there, was to grind that out so that's ready to go and I can use that trait on the fleet ship. Now the other things that I've done to this ship, I have put on all the gear that I had previously, the same weapons. I'm still using sensor-linked disruptor dual heavy cannons. And then in the back, I am using sensor-linked disruptor turrets, all Mark 15, all epic. What I have done, however, and I thought I had did this on the previous ship, and I must have made a mistake somewhere, I was using the Aegis set, which was good starting off. It's a good starter set, because you can get that before you get the reputation sets. Very easy to get that. So that's why I was using that. But apparently I did purchase the Reman and the Romulan space sets from the new Romulus reputation. And for some reason, I thought I was using those, but I had put them in my bank. And I don't know why I put them in my bank. That was a mistake, because it turns out that the Reman set does buff disruptor damage. So check this out. If you go to more details here, one of the abilities, when you have the no, wait a minute. I'm thinking of... Okay, this actually increases defense. I'm thinking of the other set. Okay, we'll go over that in a second. That does increase disruptor damage. The one I'm thinking about is this set here. The 0-point energy conduit. Yeah, the Romulan Singularity Harness. That's what it's called. The Romulan Singularity Harness. See how that's called? You got the 0-point energy conduit. That comes from the new Romulus reputation. That gives you all power to subsystems, improves energy drain and shield drains, and increases your critical chance. But check this out. When I go to the details on it, yeah, here we go. Having 2 pieces of this does increase disruptor damage. See, plus 10% disruptor energy weapon damage. It also buffs plasma energy weapon damage, and it increases your EPS, your electroplasma systems, your power transfer rate by plus 20. So this is called the Romulan Singularity Harness set, and it's consisted of 3 different pieces. You've got the experimental Romulan beam array, if you're using beams. You've got the Romulan Hyperplasma Torpedo Launcher, and then the console 0-point energy conduit. And all of that is from the new Romulus reputation. So I have here the console, obviously. This is the 0-point energy conduit, which in itself is giving me more power to all of my subsystems. Everything has got plus 2.4 power. And then my energy and shield drain resistance is increased, and on top of that, a critical chance increase, okay? But then, because I have another piece of it, which is the torpedo, the hyperplasma torpedo, because I have that, I have the 2-piece bonus, which is giving me extra disruptor energy weapon damage, plus plasma and plus EPS. So I'm getting more power transfer rate increase, getting more disruptor damage. So I've already got my tactical consoles filled out with, all disruptor energy damage buffing. But then on top of that, I have an extra 10% now added onto that because of the 2-piece bonus from this set. So don't forget about that. If you are buffing for a disruptor, there are a lot of things in this game that can do that. There is a Nausicaan set. I mentioned that in the last video. And there is a Klingon something set. It's not the Martok one. I looked that up, and that's like flight speed and turn rate. But I think there is a Klingon console in a later mission that does buff disruptor damage. But at the very least, the Nausicaan set that you can get later on does that. But don't forget about the Romulan Singularity harness, because it also does that, and that may be overlooked by a lot of people. You can see it right there, plus 10% disruptor energy weapon damage. Plus, remember, this ship has a plasma lance, and so this set is also buffing that plasma lance, because it also does plus 10% plasma energy weapon damage. So this Singularity harness is helping me in 2 ways. It's helping buff my weapon damage, and it's helping buff that plasma lance that this Intel ship comes with. So bada bing bada boom, two things, two birds with one stone right there. Plus my power transfer rate's improved, which is always a pleasure having improved. Now the third piece to this I do not have. You would need to add the Romulan beam array, and I'm not using beams. I am using cannons, and I'm using disruptor damage, and that's a plasma weapon anyway. But it would give you this thing called plasma hyperflux if you did add a third piece to it. But I'm not doing that, so I do not have that ability. But what I'm benefiting from here is the disruptor energy and plasma energy weapon buff, plus the EPS buff from this 2-piece thing. And then of course I get the benefits of this console itself, which is all power to subsystems and resistance and critical chance. And then the torpedo itself is also very good. This is a hyperplasma torpedo, and let me tell you, the high yield torpedo version of this thing is great. It has a big plasma torpedo, and it does a lot of damage. And it does damage over time, which is also important. It does plasma damage over time. So this is a very good projectile. So these 2 things together is one thing that I have on this thing, on this ship now. And then now for the other part of it, I decided to go with the Reman set on this to help my defense and stealth and all of that. So the Reman Advanced Prototype Deflector, look at that, plus 30 to stealth values, okay? Then it also increases my hull capacity, my shield capacity, resistance to control, and more resistance to energy and shield drains. So it's a plus 69 resistance to starship control expertise, and then a plus 47.8 to a resistance to energy and shield drains. That's really good. Plus you get a hull and shield buff and those stealth values. But it doesn't stop there. Because I have all the pieces of this, I have like all the bonuses here. This set is called the New Romulus Command Advanced Prototype Space Set. And because I have 3 pieces of it, check out what this part does. This basically it improves exotic particle generator for exotic damage. I'm not really using a lot of that, but it enhances my high yield plasma torpedo. So remember this, the hyperflux torpedo thing I have, it gives it increased flight speed and increased defense on that torpedo. So that goes hand in hand. And then check this out. I have capacitance transfer. So this is a shield resistance for 15 seconds, and this is the part I really like, enhances all energy weapons to do the following once per firing cycle. It reduces or debuffs shields on the foe, and it increases all the shields or buffs my shields on myself. So that's like a really good ability. So all these things, all this set together, paid off. And then the other parts of it, the impulse here, this the reason why I went with the Reman one is because again, this increases starship defense maneuvering, plus 31.9 starship defense maneuvering, which improves your defense. And what's important on an escort? Defense. You want stealth and you want defense. Okay, that's going to make it harder for the enemy to hit you. So this impulse engine, bam, improves defenses. Okay, but it also improves my speed and turn rate as well. So I don't need an RCS console. Putting this engine on automatically gives me an increased starship impulse expertise. Okay, then I have increased sector speed travel too. I have plus 24.9 flight speed, plus 25.6 flight turn rate. I got 2 full impulse flight speed buffs, 25 shield regeneration per second to each facing while at impulse. So while I'm at impulse, I'm getting an increased shield regeneration. That's important also on an escort because you're going to move a lot, and having that move at full impulse will heal your shields. Also, you have all-powered engines, diverse all-powered engines, 204.9 flight speed. So that's a great impulse engine for this set. And then for the ship, and then you have the advanced prototype covariant shield, and because it's a covariant shield, it's got one of the highest shield capacities. This is not the actual shield capacity; will go up into space, but it also reduces disruptor damage to shields, and you can gain shield capacity for 30 seconds that stacks. Just a lot of great abilities on this set. You put all that together, and I don't know why I wasn't running that before. And now I also have everything completely maxed out. Everything is Mark 15 Epic. So it's as high quality as you could get on this ship, okay? As high quality. I have the Trellium D. I have the assimilated module. I got a shield capacity buff, the 0-point module, and then what comes with this ship, of course, is the heavy plasma lance. Remember, that is now being buffed by the Singularity harness that I have on. All tactical consoles are buffing disruptor, and there you go. You got pretty much a good thing going there. Now, as for the stations, I have Cannon Rapid Fire 3, I have Torpedo Spread 3, Attack Pattern Beta 1, and a Tactical Team. I've got Scatter Volley 2, High Yield 2, and Distributed Targeting. I've got Emergency Power to Weapons 2, and I've got Engineering Team 1. I got Emergency Power to Shields 1. Now on Science, I don't necessarily want this Tachyon beam here. This is just temporary. What I really want to get, and maybe you guys can help me figure out where it's at, I think it's a mission reward. I want this skill here called, where is it? It is called, I've got to click that, right here, Destabilizing Resonance Beam. I want that ability instead. But I think that's a mission reward in one of the later missions, so correct me if I'm wrong. But I looked for in the exchange and I could not find a training manual for it, so I'm assuming it's a mission reward. It would have to be, right? But that I want that ability in place of Tachyon Beam for my science ability. So that's one change I'll make in the future when I can get it. Then I have Science Team 2 and Hazard Emitters 1. I am not using any Intel powers, even though I could use Intel powers. I am not. I'm just using basic powers here. That's really all I need. I like to do a lot of cannon fire and torpedo fire and that sort of thing, and I'd rather have those things maxed out than like Intel powers taking up space here. So that's my bridge officer stations. Now, as for my specializations, I have, gotta go to ship, skills, specializations. I have pilot now maxed out. Pilot is all maxed out, and that is my primary specialization, and it's completely maxed out now. Now, as for my secondary, I have begun working on intelligence officer for my secondary, and I have 3 of the things unlocked there. So that is just beginning, but that will be a work in progress. Now, as for my traits, let's go over that real quick. Here's the starship trait, by the way. This is the tactical retreat, the one that comes with the ship. This is what I will be able to use on the fleet ship when we put it on here. I've also got improved critical systems, which gives me critical chance and severity. I have shield overload, which is a very good shield damage resistance that decreases over time when you enable shield all emergency power to shields. And then I also have improved pedal to the metal, which is an all damage bonus. An all damage bonus per 2 seconds spent at full throttle, up to 20% plus 20% max. And those are the starship traits that I'm using in terms of all that. So not a terrible build. The only thing is the hull strength is a little weak on it. But again, we can make that up with the fleet version, and then the fleet version will also give me another engineering console. So I can do that in the future. Let's beam up to space, and I'll show you the specs on the ship. But I think this build is going to work at least for a few missions. Like I said, I want to fly this in the Delta Quadrant for a few missions before I put the fleet version on. I want to get the most out of my money. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to use this ship for just a little bit. I love the looks of it. Still love the looks of it. Okay, so the first thing we will notice is up here I've got warp signature masking, which is part of the Intel ship abilities. I've got the prototype plasma projectile. That's that plasma torpedo. Maneuvering thrusters 2 is part of the pilot specialization, and then my veteran buff. So that's the base things that are just there without, you know, manually turning on buffs and stuff. My power levels are 125 weapons, 65 shield, 53 engine, and 41 aux. Okay, so let's look at our stats here. You can see that my stealth detection rating is 16.44. Power transfer rate is up 286%. Defense rating is 88.4. The hull strength is just a little low, 53,779. I'd like it higher, but again, we're a bit of an escort ship. My shield strength, though, is very good, 18,239, so I'm not worried about my shield strength. Shield regen is 353. My resists are all at about 33%. That's where I'm sitting at. A 34.7 accuracy rating. A crit chance now. My crit chance is up to 22.4%. And my crit severity is 82%. And my turn rate is a whopping 45.9 degrees per second. So check that out. I mean, yeah, that's without an RCS. So I do not need an RCS. These Reman engines are incredible for that flight turn rate and speed increase buff. I don't need anything else. That's perfect right there. I'm very happy with the speed and turn rate of this ship. It's exactly what I want. Now, as for like my abilities and everything, here is the enhanced battle cloak. You can enable that while in combat, or to buff all your stuff and then release it. And when you release it, these are all the benefits of that you get. Let's just go through. I've got Lone Wolf here. That's part of the pilot thing being unlocked, an ability I have there. I have the distributed targeting here. Here's the heavy plasma lance. And you can see that it's doing 14,967 plasma damage. And that is being buffed because of that Singularity harness. But I can buff it further by increasing like alpha, I think, and my tactical fleet and all that. This one is my Singularity weapons capacitor. It drains my Singularity power, but it augments my weapon power. And it repairs offline weapon systems and gives up to 30 weapon power based on your Singularity level. So if I really want weapon power instead of Singularity powers, I can hit that. This is another ability I don't use very often, but I'm going to use more. This is part of the new Romulus Command Advanced Prototype Space Set. The engine, the deflector, and the shield. It targets self. It's a 30.6% shield resistance for 15 seconds. It enhances all of my energy weapons to reduce the shields to the foe, minus 141.9 all shields, and buffs my shields, 141.9. So this is what it looks like when I enable it. But that's an ability I need to use more. I don't use that one enough. And that's called capacitance transfer. What else do I have that's unique? Obviously, I've got the intel powers here to use. Gather intel. And then this one is expose vulnerability defense. This one is expose vulnerability weapon system. And this one is expose vulnerability critical systems. And that's all part of the intel abilities. And then I got my singularity abilities. I've got quantum absorption, warp shadow, energy weapon singularity overcharge, singularity jump, and plasma shockwave. Now I had so many icons left over that I actually had to put another bar over here, and I added my vulnerability assessment sweep up here. My tachyon beam, I put it here. I've also got a quantum singularity manipulation. I've also got a subspace field modulator, ramming speed. This Tetrion cascade I won't ever use. I'm not using Tetrion weapon damage. I can increase my threat. And then, of course, fireworks. So looking at my weapon damage, let's, actually I don't need to do that. It's right here. Here's what everything is running at without buffing it. I've got 2080 50 disruptor damage. That is 2280 DPS. And that should be similar, well, or close for each one. I guess I need to work on some modifiers still. This is 2777 and 2221. And this one's 2771 and 2221. So that's where I am on damage. And then the torpedo is 4,568 kinetic damage, and then 369 plasma damage every 1 second for 15 seconds. Remember, it has that damage over time on it. The turrets in the back are doing 964 disruptor damage and 1157 DPS. And they're a little different because the modifiers are different, but close to the same. My Hyperflux, I have not upgraded it to Epic, but it's doing 3717 electrical damage. Now, of course, I can buff the wazoo out of these things. So, for example, 2850, 2280. If I go here and here, at least do that. Now I'm buffing that to 5241 disruptor and 4193 DPS. So, you see, I can greatly increase these things. And now this is also increased 22,526 plasma damage. So I can really buff my weapon damage with all my abilities I have quite nicely. I mean, what is that? That's more than double, right? It's at least double, maybe more than double the damage. So that ain't bad at all. That ain't bad at all. That is really good stuff. And here's the actual shield capacity on this shield is 10729. But yeah, that's what I've got on this ship. And I'm just trying to make sure I covered everything about it. I would like to do just a little mission here, just to show it off real quick. Let us do Defensive Starbase 1, something simple, just so you can see it in combat. I'm still going to have a little bit of an explodey problem, because I can lose my health quite quickly on this, my hull strength. But I just have to remember to use things like the capacitance transfer and this, which has a temporary hit points it adds to it. See, it adds this temporary hit points. I get 5,287 temporary hit points with beta. So it's things like that I need to remember to use to keep me alive in those situations. Hopefully this will launch quickly here. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to cover on the ship. I think I pretty much covered like the main stuff here. And then, yeah, otherwise, there are other disruptor things in the future to look out for. Like I said, the Nausicaan stuff. There's Nausicaan stuff, and I swear there's something Klingon that buffs disruptor. Also, in the reputation, the entire 8472 Counter Command reputation has disruptor stuff in it. So I'm starting to unlock it so I can see what I might want to use from that reputation. So there's a lot of room for improvement on the disruptor end of things here, which I will make. But on the ship end of things, I'm going to use this ship for a couple of missions in the Delta Quadrant. Then I'll put the fleet ship version on, and we'll use that for the remainder of the Delta Quadrant missions. And I think that'll get us through pretty nicely. This is not launching as fast as I thought it would. They don't give you a timer or a countdown or anything to let you know how many people are filled up in the queue. So there's no idea. Ugh. But I do like the looks of this ship quite a bit. I experimented with different versions of it, different looks to it, and I like this look the best. There we go, finally. So this will just be a quick, you know, Starbase 1 defense. You can see what it's like in action. I can do a ton of damage. I have played this already. I can do a ton of damage. I just got to watch out for, you know, taking damage. And I know we're going to get hit pretty hard by the Vaudoir in the Delta Quadrant. They have this crazy ability with their ships that does a lot of damage. So I'm going to have to watch out for that. But I think that when I put the fleet version ship on, it will do a lot better. Come on, ship. Come on, thing, load up. This is the other problem with the new queue system, is you accept the queue, but there's nothing to indicate when it's actually going to launch you into the queue. Like, just randomly did that. I had no idea how long that was going to take. They need some kind of timer or something to let you know.
Listen up.
Alright, let's just do this. I'm just gonna probably not comment too much. I'm just gonna do this whole thing. So sit back and relax and check out this ship in action. I think it'll be pretty interesting. If I can remember to use all my buttons. I got so many powers now. I got 3 full bars here, and then almost a full bar over here. Holy crap. So many things now on this ship to worry about.
Here they come.
It's like overload.
Warning.
But you'll see, I can
attack.
take them down so fast.
Target's shields have failed.
We're prepping for evac of non-essential personnel and civilians.
Just a massive amount of damage I can do. Which is actually quite nice. I like that.
Target's shields have failed.
Just target and take them down. I can hit that capacitance transfer. That will
Target's
protect
shields
me.
have failed.
I don't even need to use my Singularity abilities, but I got them. They're there if I want them. And in my intel abilities, there's no way I even have time to use them. I take the enemy down way too fast.
Target's shields have failed.
And this ship turns
Target's
so
shields
good.
have failed.
Put on my shield resistance there with shield overload.
Target's shields have failed.
Pretty nice, huh?
There's a break in incoming warp signatures. We may have a short amount of time before
See,
more arrive.
I don't even need to use my Singularity abilities. I mean, they're there and I can use them. They're maxed out right now. And then the intel abilities,
Reading some heavier ships incoming.
I just really don't have
Raiders and
time to
battle
use
cruisers.
them.
Ship is under
Because I
attack.
take these enemies down in like a second. And it takes like 15 seconds for that thing to work.
Target's shields have failed.
Like, see, if I target this guy
An
with the intel
evacuation
ability,
ship is launching. Give them cover.
he's dead before I can use it. So, no point. Hey, I need to protect this lane.
Target's shields have failed.
Look at my plasma torpedoes. They're everywhere. I haven't even used
Target's
vulnerability
shields have
assessment
failed.
sweep and all that stuff. Like I don't even need to use the other stuff. Okay, he succeeded.
An evacuation
Here I'll
ship is
use
launching.
that just to
Give them
get
cover.
rid of it. I don't need it, but I got it. Let's see what else. The plasma lance, that I could use more. So let's find a big ship and use that on.
Warning. Ship is under attack. Target's shields have failed.
There's a good ship to use it on. That ship right there, I need to get around. So, bam. So there you go. Plasma lance actually does pretty good now.
Target's shields have failed.
An evacuation ship is launching. Give them cover.
Yeah. Pretty good, pretty good. Some of the bigger Klingon ships will start spawning now. That has a
The
longer
Klingons are regrouping
cooldown,
again.
though.
Get into position to prepare for the next assault. Here come the Klingon battleships. Keep
Warning.
fighting.
Ship is under attack.
Look how quick I took that thing down. Jeez.
Target's shields have failed.
And gone. I remember just ripping through them. Okay, protected. Good.
Target's shields have failed.
I'll use my plasma lance again when I get a chance here on that
An
ship.
evacuation
That's
ship
almost
is
dead.
launching. Give them cover.
Here on that ship. Up 2-1 and it's very close to it.
Target's shields have failed.
Roosevelt is in need of aid. Can you draw off some of those enemy ships? This is
I
the
can.
Roosevelt.
Okay, I
Can
need
use
to
a
go
little
there.
help. Engines and shields are failing.
I'm on my way. Oh crap, the belly ship. Now I can do a singularity jump here. Hop. There we go. Used it. Took care of that quite easily.
Target's shields have failed.
That was an interesting maneuver. They all spawn in right in this one spot. He should be safe. And that's what it's all about. You put your right wing in, you put your right wing out, you shake your nacelle all about. You do the hokey pokey and you fire your plasma cannon. And that's what it's all about.
Warning, ship is under attack.
Haven't even used the battle cloak, so I don't even need it. This is a bit of an easy mission though, so this is not real tough.
Ship is under attack.
I think we'll have a harder time with the Vaadwaur. Let's get some, what do I need here? I need probably some of you. Yeah, the Vaadwaur are going to be a lot more difficult because they're going to kill me faster. This wasn't exactly a hard TFO, but you get the idea. I can do some damage with this ship. The only thing I'm worried about is taking damage. I got to be real careful about that, but I can do a lot of damage, so I think that's going to be my advantage. And again, when I get the fleet ship put on, it's going to be a whole lot better. But I'm not there yet. We're going to play a couple of the Delta Quadrant missions before we do that. So we've got Escalation, which just introduces us to the Delta Quadrant. Mindscape is a mission, and then Reunion. So I'm going to do at least those two missions on this ship, and then maybe switch over to the fleet version. I want to get a couple under my belt. We'll see. We'll see how I feel about it. But that's the goal. Eventually I will put the fleet version on, but for right now, let's just stick with this and see what happens. And I think I'm growing to like this ship. At first, I was weary, but I'm growing to like it. Especially the fleet version, I will probably grow to like even more. So anyway, those are the changes I've made to this ship since the last video. Now you know what I will be using for the upcoming missions. So you're all set, and we're ready to do the Delta Quadrant. So stay tuned for the next video, and then we will get right into the Delta Quadrant. Okay, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. Thank you for watching this video. Follow me on Twitter at Brent_Justice for video updates across all of my channels. Also help support the channel on patreon.com/BrentJustice, where for only $1 you gain access to Discord chat for all of my channels. Come chat with us. Also check out my general gaming channel, Borg Drone, at youtube.com/c/BorgDrone1 for other game Let's Plays. All of these links are also in the description below. Help me on the road to 50,000 subscribers for this channel. With your support, we can make this happen.